greatest show on earth.
Welcome back to the Con Culture Convo, guys. I am your co-host, Chris Bower, joined by Tim Hyde. Timolus Hyde.
Yes. That's actually my
up,
real name. I don't know how you knew that.
Timolus? Timolus Hyde?
Yes. Timolus Hyde. It's fancy English, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. What can I say?
Old English, ye old.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I drink, it's just,
Timolus. A lot of people think it's Timothy, but no. Most Tims are actually Timolus in their long form.
Yeah,
Fun
that's
fact.
fair. So where are you at, my friend? Where are you at?
Where am I at? Oaks, PA, Pennsylvania, as the kids say. At Too Many Games.
Okay.
That's the name of a con, not actually
enjoying
Too Many
yourself
Games.
so far?
Yeah. I am. Yeah. Turns out there's just the right amount of games here.
Oh, that's good. Not too many?
Yeah.
Good.
It's not too many. It's
not too few.
Turns it's just the name. Long hours, though. Can I just vent for a second on the hours? The show goes till 9 o'clock both nights, Friday and Saturday, 5 o'clock on
what
Sunday.
What time does it start, though?
Again, Sunday, we have already said 4 o'clock is the time. It
Correct.
starts at 11, which is better.
Okay.
But 9 o'clock, y'all. 9 o'clock for a vendor room?
Ooh. No, thank you.
Now,
Nope.
I will say this. There was people spending in the room at 9 both nights.
Okay.
So I can't be like it wasn't necessary. However, if they had closed at, say, 8, that would have been fine too. They would have been in there at 8, and then you would have shooed them out just like that.
If the show ended at 7, would you have still made this roughly the same?
No, I would have made a little bit more. Yes,
So 8 is the combination, I guess. Like the little compromise here.
I just don't like having to go find dinner at 9 p.m.
to
finish eating at 10 and be like, okay, it's now past my bedtime, so I either have to try to walk around my room or just immediately lay down in bed with a full stomach. Which clearly I've done a few times.
That's how much Chris loves our followers, because he's willing to do it. It's almost 11 p.m. and this man has been up at a show for God knows how long today. I mean, got there what? Did you get there 8 a.m. today?
No, actually. Well, I went and did video for my vlog.
Oh,
so yeah, I did get out on the road at 8, but I didn't get to the show till 10:15. But 45 minutes early.
Day. 10 to 9?
It's a very long day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's long. That's a long day.
It was a long day.
But while you were there, you'd mentioned something that you had saw a unfortunate thing that we need to discuss on the pod.
Legendary Con.
Another convention calling it quits.
Yeah, Legendary. Well, I don't know if they're calling it quits, but they're canceling this year. And this one is only 3 weeks out. So the reason I had mentioned that to you was we had earlier this year had a very bad instance. Anyway, we wanted to talk about it. So I figured that was like a good conversation to have.
Correct.
So just to bring you guys up to date, Legendary Con used to be, oh Lord, I'm blanking on the name it was. I think it's 3 or 4 years old. I was at the first one. I want to say it was something PA Con or West Virginia. I forget exactly the name of it. We'll have to look it up. They've changed. They've already gone through a name change and a venue change, which, there's a variety of reasons. Any convention does that. I'm not here to judge, but that can either be good or bad for a show. It's never traditionally great for a show to do that, but if it's necessary, I guess you got to do it. Either way, I think this is their 3rd or 4th year. They're 3 weeks out and they just canceled. We were in that situation earlier this year, so we know what the vendors are going through right now. Hawaii,
there was
did that to us.
So let me tell you what happened. So, I have quite a good connection with said group.
Sure, we don't need to do names. We can just say amazing Hawaii, but we don't need to do.
I
names.
am quite good friends with some of the celebrity guests that were there.
Sure.
And I saw the post Now, mind you, this post did not go out to vendors. It did not go out to anybody. It was a
No.
blanket Facebook post. I literally opened up my Facebook and I happened to scroll up, go to them, refresh, and it was the first thing on top, and it just been posted like 5 minutes prior.
Which, in
And
my
the
opinion,
first
is not
thing
the
I
way to
thought
do that.
of was, oh boy, Chris is going to have a nice little reaction to this.
Yeah.
And I called you and I was like, hey, buddy. So remember that Maui and trip that's going to work out
Because
perfectly?
let's pause the story.
Yes.
February is a notoriously difficult time of year. Not difficult. There's always shows.
Mediocre.
But to find decent shows, good shows, it's semi-difficult to do a nice full schedule. And this year, we had given up one weekend before that show so that we could go to Hawaii a week early so we could go to Maui.
Actually,
and then go set up at the show, do the show in Hawaii and Oahu, and come back. And so we had 3 of the 4 weekends booked with decent shows, and we were taking one weekend off, which is not normal for us. We try to work every weekend, but we had taken this one weekend off. And you, of course, to do that, you got to plan in February. February, those shows fill up quick. The decent ones do. So continue.
Yeah, and so we had, like I said, had that blocked out the week before, the week of Hawaii, and then after that we were going to go to Emerald City, if I remember correctly, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it actually, and for us, we're in the South here, and so southeast of the U.S., and that's far. And so I think our flights were 16 hours. I think so.
We had logistics because I was going to fly from a different city than you were. I was going to park my car, and I was going to be driving up, and then we were going to come back on one of the flights. I forget exactly how it was, but there was some logistics that we had worked out that took some real planning to do. Yes. And we were waiting for certain flights to hit, and then we got the flights. We were pretty excited for this trip. We had planned it pretty well.
Yeah, and the crazy part is I surprisingly upgraded my friend Chris here to first class, and we didn't get to do it.
So
I never got to tell him.
Yeah. Also, we had a private jet on this last leg of it. It's crazy this got canceled.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I actually did, though. Which makes the story even better.
But continue. Sure.
So I believe this was the first.
It was 1 month
February.
Out. Oh, yeah. It was probably 3.5 weeks out, really.
Yeah, it was not even a full 4 weeks because I remember you having many explicit words being thrown out because it fucked us. Just straight up, it fucked us.
It does.
And it was,
you can't find
the most
other
frustrating, the most frustrating part of that is that, it probably cost us between $5,000 to $10,000 each.
Could have. Between money lost on not having 2 shows for them. We didn't have shows those 2 weeks now. So that's lost income. Plus, there was only a little bit of money that we lost on reservation stuff. So a lot of the other money we did get back. Yeah. So we only lost a little bit of money on that. So that wasn't a huge loss. But still, the lost income was the major.
Frustrating.
It was so major.
Like we had a vacation, we're going to make money, we're going to do all this stuff, and then it goes from that to being the complete opposite into not having it, having no shows to make money on, staying home, which I guess is cool, but like when you go from wanting to go to Hawaii and go to Maui and do all these things, and then go from that to doing nothing at all, and then also now my trip to Seattle is kind of shitty because now it's not. I'm out there already, and it adds on to it. It added a lot of cost to the Seattle show for me.
That was one of the trips that I got caught in a major snowstorm. One of the ones that I've already mentioned made me regret life. Which I would not have been in that snowstorm had I been in Maui.
So, that would have been so much better.
That trip or that con canceling really did a number on everybody. Now, the other reason they didn't send that out to vendors, if you remember, this show still hasn't happened yet because they didn't cancel the show.
They moved it to November.
They delayed it. And they just assumed everybody was going to roll their booths right on over. They didn't offer any refunds.
A lot of people did, which is kind of crazy.
A lot of people did.
They were so casual about it, and that kind of pissed me off even more.
I could not believe that. Yeah. I immediately requested refund. Like I was already booked. I had 2 shows booked that weekend that I had already lined up my backup guy at. November's still a busy month for us. You know,
It's a
at
week
least
of
in
my
the
show.
West.
That's a week of my
That's
Pensacola
true.
show.
You hadn't even
So,
scheduled that show yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so anyway, that the Legendary Con noticed that like I think I had PTSD from Hawaii because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, those poor vendors. Yeah, like right away because those vendors are feeling that.
I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna do anything like that. But I just looked at the comments to see what people were responding to. Like the fifth comment down was this guy. Someone reply back and go, "Wow, thanks for letting us vendors know. Like, you know, this really sucks. Like, it would have been nice to know as early as possible." A person replied back to them and being like, "Excuse me, the vendors should be the last to know. Us attendees are the important ones. We should be the ones that know." And I was like, "Oh shit!
That's
like, are you kidding me?" Yeah, I was just like, "What?
What do you have to tell your boss you're actually coming into work on that Friday?" Oh, I'm sorry. I hope that that doesn't break your logistics planning. Yeah, like, attendees.
I mean, you're not traveling from Florida to the show. You're not traveling from California. It's a small show. It is what it is. It's fine, you know.
Yeah, cancel your hotels.com reservation. Done.
Yeah,
okay,
your free cancellation, you're done. Yeah, and you get your tickets pushed to next year or the next one. Or just, I mean, I think they're like $35. It's whatever. By the way, I did request a refund, and if you're watching this, I never got it for our lovely friends at Amazing. Sorry, I haven't got my refund yet, and it is we're pushing July here. So
I was promised twice, and I thought we already had. I checked 2 weeks ago. Still
never got it.
Oh, no.
Excuse me,
talking twice
Peter,
to our main guy. Very
Peter
nice
Paul
people
here are.
But I keep
that's not their
promised.
names, by the way.
I know. I keep getting promised that it's on its way, and it's not. And let me tell you something, guys. When that happens at a show, that is red flag central. And I said this, and I'm sure I was saying it out of anger in February, but I said this in February that I don't think that show is going to happen in November, and we'll see.
I do. I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be the show that it was in the past, because that was one of my favorite shows of the year to go to.
Oh, dude, I used to love that show.
I mean,
going
good
to
money.
Hawaii was such
Hawaii's so good. And in February, shows suck for the most part, especially back then when it first started. I will officially say they sucked in 2018, 2017.
They really did.
They were terrible. And so that was
gotten better now.
Yeah.
But it's just a great month to go to Hawaii. I mean, come on.
The weather is. Last time we were there, it was phenomenal. Dude. I mean, arguably probably the best weather in the world on that day or that week or whatever. I mean,
we actually went. We started COVID. We went and we heard about COVID while we were on the island. It was way over in China. And we were like, that sucks for them. I'm glad that will never come here. And we left Hawaii. And on the plane, a few people were mentioning that it might come over there. And we're like, no, that will never come to America.
No
we landed in Chicago, went to C2E2 in March of 2020, went home, and shutdown happened. So within 4 days of us being in Hawaii, it was in America. So we feel like maybe we brought it. Maybe it was in Hawaii. I'm just saying.
And
could have been us.
A fun fact about that trip that I want to bring up is something that we joked around about, that in Hawaii when we left, the day we left, it was 84 degrees. Okay.
So it was. Yeah.
In Chicago,
it
was -10 when we got there. And I remember it was like a 91 degree difference. Like, talk about a different contrast of places you want to be. You know,
so rough.
I mean, that was crazy.
Man, that was not a great coming off of that plane. Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, that was rough.
And then COVID, it was just like the worst to come back from Hawaii for COVID and the cold. You're just like, man, life sucks right now.
It wouldn't have sucked to have been stuck in Hawaii a little longer, but
can you imagine if we had to do quarantine in Maui? What luck.
I'm on the road to Hana by myself. Whatever, guys.
Like, we can't let you guys leave this island. Sorry, you'll have to be here for 2 months. Oh, shucks. Oh, doggone it. We'll just live on this beach Oh my
Yes.
God, can you imagine?
You know, it kind of
well.
sucks. I've been thinking about it. Is that if we don't go back to Amazing Hawaii, it's going to be really hard to get back to Hawaii.
I know. Yeah,
To justify,
well,
like,
okay. Again, we digress about Hawaii. We're still feeling Hawaii. Let's talk about, because there was not Legendary in Hawaii made me realize that another show in February canceled too, and it was that Texas anime show, that big one, the one that's been around for like 30 years.
yes.
Acon.
So yes, Acon.
They canceled this year too.
February 15th of 2024. Looked it up here.
That is 3 shows this year. So
in February.
We had never heard of shows canceling until 2020. I mean, we've been talking about COVID, so this is very apt.
Yeah.
Until then, you remember that when we first started having shows canceled? Because I was at a show that next weekend after C2E2 when it canceled. We'd set up at Permian Basin Comic Con.
That's
and they came in on Friday, and they were like, "Everybody set up." We were an hour before open. They were like, "Take your booth down and go home." We're shut down. And we're like, we don't understand what you just said. That doesn't make any sense. Because shows had never canceled before then. I mean, literally, you could count on one hand in history how many times a con had ever canceled, especially day of when people are already set up at it. And then, of course, that whole spring we got used to it. Like, all cons canceled, obviously.
Yes.
But it's not been that way for now several years now since COVID. So this is now 3 shows this year. So it's kind of now they don't have the excuse they had. So now you're like, okay, look, if a show is canceling now, you can only blame the venue. See, they had that blame the venue thing built into the COVID year.
Yeah.
And now there's nothing to blame but mismanaged funds.
Yep. Money. What? Nothing else. I just can't see anything else.
Like, what's the excuse? I mean, I'm sure they're not going to say that's the reason, but what is the real excuse anymore if it's not mismanaged funds? I'm honestly asking because I really don't know.
We're going to have
our show promoter.
Sorry, that's our excuse. Sorry, we're going to.
I don't really know. Like, what would it be?
Literally it.
Right. Like, why can't we get this together? It could be a staffing thing, like which I know was Hawaii's excuse, was they didn't have the right amount of staff.
Yeah, health issues.
That was thin as could be because, to me, that's just my opinion. That was thin because it was a month out. I feel like you're a month out, you would have known. But that's just my opinion.
Agreed.
And I'm not.
There's more to that story, just like all
those guys have always been super cool. I always liked their shows. I honestly have.
No problem with them besides this.
I really have.
Which I would happily have a conversation. Happily have a conversation with a person about it. Yeah.
And I feel like those guys would have a conversation because they've always been very approachable, very cool.
Yep.
But,
absolutely.
I don't know what happened there. And then, but these other 2 canceling, I didn't hear anything about Acon. Did you hear anything? I mean, that show's been around for over 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy because in 2019 was their biggest year. They had 35,000 people. So
that's crazy.
Obviously they canceled their 2020 and 2021.
35,000.
Yeah.
So then they're gone for 2 years, but they've had at least 2 years of great, and they came back during the boom. So they had to have had at least that many people come back.
Even if it's half, like were your numbers financially that off? I mean, to me, the red flags start to fly, and I mean fly high, when you're getting those kind of numbers and the operational cost of a con is obviously increasing. It gets crazy.
100%.
But at 35,000, there has to be some like money disappearing in order for it to make that sense. Because 35,000 people, I mean, God, if you're making $10 profit off of each one of them, I mean, I'm talking like profit, like end all be all.
Yeah.
Like awful.
Clearing.
But I mean, if you're talking about 35,000 attendees at $50 average for a ticket, people get 1 day 3 passes average out. I mean, right there, that's $1.7 million.
That's a lot of money.
I'm sorry, the operational costs for that show are not $1.7 million. They're just not. I know for a fact, because I know the convention center that they do is not. It's not cheap, but it's not that price. I know all the
and that's in Dallas, right?
Yeah. So let me tell you something, Chris. The thing that really bugs me about this as a promoter and as a vendor and on every side of the aisle I've been on, agent, I've done it all. I've been an attendee, I've been everything. The red flags on this are so much worse, I think, than what we think. Just simply based off the fact that if you're getting $1.5–2 million in ticketing sales, especially if you're based in Dallas, you look on that guest list, they flew in like 10 people.
Yeah, I was going to say, because isn't that where most of the voiceover actors
All of them
live?
were there. I mean, why would you not just bring in people from Dallas? You're paying for their Ubers, or you're paying for their. I mean, you're probably spending maybe $10,000, $15,000, $20,000.
And with that big of a crowd size, you don't even need guarantees.
No,
I mean,
even if you do, they're going to hit it because that's like anime's hot. All the voice actors. If you bring in 35,000 people, everybody's hitting guarantees.
It's Dallas. Didn't we remember we were at a show last fall and we were counting up how many shows there had been in Dallas that year, and we got to 30.
Yeah.
That is
Acon and Fan Expo were always 1 and 2, and that was it.
Well, and they've been around a long time. Well, at least Acon. Acon's been around a very long time.
I mean, but Chris, look at it this way. They were never impacted. That's the thing. The other shows were impacted, but not them, because I remember, I want to say it was 2019. I want to say it was Fan Expo and Dallas and Acon were back-to-back weekends, and both were like the best shows I had had. Like, we were at both and we did stellar at both. So
I'll be honest with you, though. I quit doing Acon several years ago because I had a bad year at it, like a really bad year. But I've had good years there too. And it kind of never got back in the rotation because of that. But I've done that with several shows.
Whether we do good at it or not is irrelevant.
Show.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
It's
but it is interesting though, because I think they've posted something that they're coming back next year, obviously. It is interesting that they would just skip a year. I mean, it's definitely a red flag. 100%. No matter how you look at it, that's a red flag. As far as this Legendary one goes, I don't think it's been around long enough for us to know if it really will come back. I don't know, especially since it's already gone through a name and a venue change.
Do you know what typically happens a month out? And this is the reason why these red flags are going to go off for me. As someone who's a promoter, you know what typically comes 30 days out when the convention?
The venue convention.
That's it. 30 days out typically is the last payment, or and if you haven't paid any, you haven't paid enough, and now you owe them $25,000, $50,000, whatever, and you don't have it, you'd rather just cancel it than
right. But if you don't have it, you've already collected at least all the pre-sale ticket money.
So I mean, typically how it works is the vendors and artists pay for the convention hall.
Right.
I will, and then the tickets and all that stuff, it should pay for 75% of your cost at least. So if you don't have that extra cost, you shouldn't be putting on a show. Which means you have no money for ads. You have no money for ads. You have no money to pay staff. You have no money to fly in people. You don't have the resources you need to just get out of the game or bring in somebody else who does.
Well, if you're also 3 weeks out, you haven't even put any money into ads yet, then you're already behind the cue ball. I mean, that's not good.
If the show would have happened, it probably would have sucked at this point. If this is what it's like, I mean, I'm hoping the crowd would show up, and then I don't want
usually in their excuse.
I want to have, I want them to have as many shows out there as possible because I want options, Right. So I'm trying to do a show in my town. I really don't care.
Agreed. I mean, I like the way things are now. I remember the dark times before the rebellion, so to speak, where there was very few options, and there definitely wasn't options year round. And winter was a long season where you basically got a different job and waited for con season. And I don't like those times. I like having year round options to work. I don't like it when shows go away. I really don't. I definitely don't like this having 3 shows in 1 year, because that feels more like a trend as opposed to a couple of accidents. I definitely don't want this to be a trend.
These aren't. Let's repeat this, guys. These are not 1 day small local shows. I mean, if you combine Amazing Hawaii, Legendary, and Acon, if you combine them all together, it's 50,000 attendees that are not going to their shows combined. That's crazy
Probably.
to
Yeah.
think about. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a lot of
It's a lot of people.
it's a lot of things
Yeah,
that's not happening that should.
Yeah, I definitely don't want those shows to stay gone. I hope that they are just flukes and they are coming back. But it does make me nervous because it's out of character for at least two of these shows to have canceled. And you can't help but see them as red flags. And again, I don't wish these shows ill will. And this is just our opinions that we're just talking about it because they've, one of them has affected us, the other two didn't. But I don't wish them ill will. I want them to be successful, and if I can help them be successful, I will. But at the same time, I don't want to have it cost me money or cost my schedule, harm. And we have to, as vendors, plan ahead, and you can't see stuff like that coming. That's what sucks about it, especially when you don't get notified till a month out. You can't plan for it, and then you don't have time to find another show in that time. And it's not as simple as, just stay home. A lot of people, just like people that work day jobs, a lot of people work or live paycheck to paycheck. And sure, I might have a little bit of savings, but I still, for the most part, at least mentally, work paycheck to paycheck or show to show. So having a gap that wasn't planned on, it definitely affects my budgeting and scheduling, just like it would anyone. If you were going to work your 9-to-5 job and you suddenly didn't get paid for 2 weeks, you would totally feel that. And I feel that, so it definitely is something that vendors have to deal with. And it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, not a good thing, period. And that's the thing is that we want to reiterate that we're not shitting on these shows for like the reason that, hey, you guys are terrible people. They're terrible. Absolutely not. That's not in any way, shape, or form. It's just
every dealing I've had with these guys have been great.
Yeah, it just fucking sucks for us. And I know it sucks for them. This isn't us. We're not the only ones suffering here. Everyone is.
No. Everyone involved suffers, from vendors to the promoters to the staff. Everybody involved suffers. I mean, celebrities, because they can't. I mean, they might be able to pivot and jump in a show, but a lot of them can't at that late date either.
I mean, the celebrity that I know is a very prominent, well-known anime voice actor, and does very well. And I told them that the show was canceled. Ooh. That's where, for me, something really just didn't sit right. That 2 days after it, I texted, "Hey, man, it sucks we're not going to be able to get together because we're at dinner plans. Actually, we're all going to to dinner to our little favorite spot there in Honolulu. And we're going to show them and have a good time, have some drinks and everything." And I told them, like, "Yeah, it sucks." They're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're not going anymore?" And I'm like, "The show is canceled." And they're like, "What?" And they called their agent. And the agent didn't even know yet. So I'm sorry, Facebook attendees should always be the last to know. And I know that sounds terrible,
dude.
But we're 100%. Talking a matter of minutes, or you write. Look, or Chris,
just
this is what happens.
Plan on everyone knowing. I mean, vendors should be first.
Chris, this is easy. This is so easy. You have 3 messages, emails, one for the celebrities, agents, one for the attendees, and one for the vendors, and then you send them all out back to back to back within 10 minutes of each other on your email platform that you send out. And then you make a post Then you make a post after on social media.
100%. Yeah, social media.
We're talking about a 20 to 30 minute time frame. That's it.
100%.
And they did not do that. And I shouldn't find out scrolling through Facebook your show's canceled.
Never. Ever.
Yeah. I mean, my face turned red.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like overheating and stuff. And I know, like, first person I could do is call you. Yeah. We had to have everything planned.
I know, dude.
It sucked in so many levels.
It's just not the way to handle it. And that's just common sense. There's no getting around that. It was mishandled. And you hope that that's not a norm, that you don't, first of all, you hope you don't have to deal with that very much. And again, ever since COVID, the year of COVID, you really haven't. Like, this is not a normal thing. Shows don't get canceled. That's why these three have stood out so much, or are standing out. It just doesn't happen very often. That's why I'm hopeful these are flukes. I don't want this to become a thing where people are just like, yeah, I'll just cancel. No, because that really is very bad for so many people. Should never be a thing. Let's hope that never becomes a thing.
Yes.
Oh God, I can't imagine how bad that would be. So let's just keep our fingers crossed on that one. But anyway,
I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be the last. I mean, there's just so many cons out there that, unfortunately, with a lot of these larger shows spreading their wings, I'm going to put, and just going everywhere, and they're gonna force out a lot of small shows that should be around, and normally would be if there wasn't these competitive ones in there.
If this conversation can impart anything to any promoters that they could fall into that trap, a month out is never an option. No. And if you yourself as a promoter, there's no way you're finding a month out. I just don't see that. I feel like you see the writing on the wall, and you might ignore the writing on the wall, but I feel like you're seeing that much earlier than a month out. I feel like you should take that writing seriously. Yes.
Let me ask you a question. This is an either or shit. These are both shitty options, so don't feel like you're getting out on a good one on this one. Okay. But what would you prefer? Let's say you're kind of middle of the line show, like a Legendary type of show, right? Yeah. Not a huge show or anything like a New York or crazy, right? But a show you have jocked out a month from today. Let's say it's ABC convention.
Yeah.
Would you? They know that it's going to be a terrible show. They have no pre-sale tickets are not going well. Vendor booths, they're sold out, but like the vendor floor is not really that great done. The venue's having problems, whatever. Would you rather have them have a show and it bomb and just not do well, or would you rather have them cancel a month out? Because there's like the FOMO where you could have a couple, 1,000 people show up, but maybe, or 500 people, and you can still make a little bit of money.
I'd rather do the show. And the reason I'd rather them do the show is I will never know if I could have done something at that show, and I'm always going to blame them. Wherein if they have the show, I might blame them for, they didn't promote it enough and there wasn't enough people to show up. But I'm never going to blame them for canceling. And they're going to have the show. And like Fan Expo Portland this year, they knew that weather was coming. They didn't know a month out, but they knew that weather was going to be really bad a week or two out. Enough that they knew that show was probably going to get completely screwed over, which it did.
And should they have canceled that?
They canceled it. Probably, but there was no way they could have canceled it.
Why not?
But I would never blame them.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally a 100-year storm for Portland. I didn't know that until we were in it, but I didn't. I had no idea Portland didn't get snow ever. But it turns out they didn't, and that was the first time in forever. And completely screwed the show. But if they had canceled the show, I've been mad as hell at Fan Expo. But I've not been mad at them at all for that show. I've been like, they had it, and the weather screwed the show. And that's exactly what happened. The weather screwed that show. They planned that show a year out.
Like, for example, we lost money during that show. So for me,
a lot of people did.
I would have rather of them had canceled it 10 days out and be like, look, this storm is going to be catastrophically bad. We're expecting, a foot of snow, which is something the city can't handle. We're going to look at later on dates if we can. Maybe try and do it later on in the year if we can. If not, then, we'll happily roll everything the next year, because there was a big risk for everyone, including attendees, including vendors, including celebrities, including all stuff. Like, some really bad stuff could have happened at that show. I think that was borderline unsafe to even have an event.
True. However, if you look at, because we're specifically talking about snow weather, look at how much it could have just blown right past them too, which it probably has for the last 20 years. You know what I mean? Like they could have canceled the show, and then turns out it was sunny and 70 that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then everyone
Not
would
in Portland.
crucify them for that.
It's never
No,
sunny.
it's never. It
And
would have
70
been rainy
Portland,
and 40.
Yeah.
But either way, they would have gotten crucified for that too. So, you know, they did what they did, and I don't blame them. And they didn't screw that show up. The weather did. But you're right. They could have absolutely canceled that show, and it probably would have been the smart move. But it worked. You know, it didn't work. But it worked.
I wouldn't say it,
In other words, they're not on the hook for that show anymore. They did the show. Everyone, you know, you had your booth. You've moved on. And the weather screwed us out of that money. Not them. Yeah. You know.
I mean, I hope Fan Expo made money on that because that's not a cheap, you know, event to put on.
I'm sure they did. You know. I mean, they got all of our money.
I hope so.
I mean, and they got all the pre-sales. People that probably had bought the tickets before the weather announced. You know, the weather didn't announce till a week or two out. So I'm sure people had pre-bought all their tickets and decided not to come at the last minute or whatever. But
I'm
sure they made money. You know,
I hope so.
I don't know
just
if
for
they
their
had.
Sake,
They probably had to cover a lot of guarantees though, because they had a stellar guest list at that show.
Did they all show up though?
A lot of them did, man. I walked up and down the celebs, and they were just all hanging out with each other.
That sucks so bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of expensive celebs there, man. So you know,
their wrist is going to be sore from signing all those autographs after the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for them to sell. But either way, it's concerning. But you hope that a promoter, if you are going to cancel, just time, man. And I know time's never anyone's friend, but I don't know. A month and 3 weeks out, it feels like you almost just do the show and let it bomb. Like, I just don't. I don't think it helps to cancel 3 weeks out. I think it screws everybody. In my opinion, I'd almost rather the show just happen.
Yeah, but Chris, you're missing one thing on this.
What's that?
Clearly, the issues that we're discussing are all financial, and if you do not have the money to put on the show, you cannot put on the show.
Yeah, but the excuses they give never say that.
No, they don't.
They usually say we can't give the quality that we want to give, and I'm saying, go ahead and do the show. Give us the lower quality so I can still go to the show.
You're broke. That's right. That's what they're saying. I just translated that for you.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is I want to call your bluff. I want to call the bluff, and I would like for the show to happen so I can, you know, maybe make some money. I don't know. There's no right answer. Unfortunately, it's all wrong answers on this situation.
It's a shitty situation for everyone involved. So
yeah,
I mean, we hope the legendary people come back. We hope the Amazing Hawaii comes back strong because I'd love to go back. We hope Acon gets their shit together, and
I hope it happens in November. I really do. I hope everybody goes to Hawaii and has a great time. I will not be there. Like I said, I was already booked at 2 of the shows that weekend. I will be at one of those 2, and I hope I hear great reports from Hawaii that weekend.
Agreed.
But we'll see. You know, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, on that lovely
upbeat note,
please don't cancel note.
Stop canceling shows, guys. Let's keep our schedules.
We're up late because, you know, we actually are doing shows that aren't canceled. So.
And shows stop having 9 p.m. Floor times, closing times. I mean, okay, fine. You have people shopping. All right, I'll let it go. But 9 p.m., I'm old.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And end your show at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Period. End of story.
I mean, it'll be 5 o'clock on Sunday, so it's not the worst. Nope. 6 is the worst. 6 is the worst.
6:30, some of them do.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a certain organization that does that 6, and they won't come off of it. And it's
and you know, I'll say something great about Fan Expo. Let me pay them a compliment. Those 4 p.m. Sundays, love them.
Do they do 4 p.m.?
Yeah, they do 4s.
I thought it was 5.
Oh Lord, did they do 5s? No, I'm almost positive they do 4s.
Ah,
Lord, now you got me second guessing. These shows are all blending together. Doggone it. Fan Expo, if I paid you a compliment and you weren't due one, I'll take it back. But if you do 4 p.m. Sundays, I really appreciate you.
I'm literally gonna look that up for you guys. Smashed on this
Fact
keyboard.
check me real time.
Here it is. Here it is, real time on Fan Expo Denver. So it's a perfect example of a show. So the hours for that show
You're really milking this.
are 10 to 5.
Oh, I take it back, Fan Expo.
Yeah.
What are you
10
doing?
to 4. 10 to 4.
Oh, it is 10 to 4. I thought you said 10 to 5.
It's 10 to 5. I said they need to be doing 10 to 4.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Everyone.
Honestly, you could do 11 to 4 and I wouldn't hate it. 11 on Sundays is a fine start time, honestly.
If it's
There's
going
no
to be
reason to
5,
do
it
10s.
needs to be starting at 11. That's not negotiable for me at this point.
Honestly, I just don't see any Sunday needs to start at 10. No one, there's never been a show, any show besides New York, that anyone's in there at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. They just aren't. It just doesn't happen.
No.
11 a.m. to 4 on Sundays should be the schedule. And
Lock
if you're
it
in the South, noon to 4.
Oh my God. Who's going to be the first ballsy show to start a show at noon?
Ballsy, that's all we're busy. If you look at every show, you are busy. No, you have business
12
noon
to
to 4. Yeah. 12 to 3 is, well, 1 to 3, most of them, but 12 to 3 is really the only time you have business on a Sunday in a Southern show. But noon to 4 is all you need at a Southern show.
That'd be a really interesting idea.
I wish I knew
a promoter. I wish I knew a promoter that had those powers.
Do it, Tim. Dude, every vendor would be like, yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, we do 11 to 4, so like that's
I'm not saying
that's
it's
a
bad
short
to do
day,
11.
bro.
I'm just saying, yes, it is a short day. See what it is. The promoter doesn't want to shorten it that much because they don't want anybody questioning, well, when are you going to lower your booth cost a little bit since you're only giving us a 4-hour day?
Yeah, right.
See, we vendors are real nitpicky, but we also don't want to be there for more than the 4 hours on Sunday, but we don't want to pay the full booth cost either because you only have a 4-hour Sunday. See, we want our cake. We want to eat it too, but we don't want to pay for the cake. Yeah. So there's no really right answer there.
Do you have a favorite cake?
Look at me, Tim. All of them.
No, but do you have a favorite? I love chocolate
Probably
frosting.
cheesecake. Well, actually, if I was just sticking a cake, yellow cake with chocolate frosting.
That's me with chocolate chips in it. Boom, with a swirl.
Chocolate chips, not my thing.
Yes. When they melt it inside. Oh.
Now, if that's in a cookie, yeah.
I guess
Like
that's
my
where you draw the
chocolate
line.
cookies.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah, I just like the. Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
there you go.
Yeah, I just like my yellow cake with chocolate frosting. How did we get on that
sounds
subject?
so good. I don't know,
Did
but
we
on
say
that note,
goodbye? Good Lord, what are we
I'm gonna
doing?
go have a
No one's
slice
watching
of
this.
cake. I'm gonna have a slice of cake.
Do that.
So
All right,
join
buddy.
us next week, guys. We love your support. Thank
It'll
you
be
so
shorter.
much. We are out.
Bye.